Hi, I'm Fairy Kayla at LivingFelt Felting Supplies, and we're here today to make some fun Christmas cactus ornaments. These cacti, are super fun and they are so festive. They are just so fun to make, and you can make them in so many different ways. These cactus are so fun to give as gifts. They do phenomenal at shows. Would look great on any tree. They are fantastic stocking stuffers, and they would look super cute as a gift on a little gift tag. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to needle felt these Christmas cactus ornaments. First, we'll start with building a super simple armature wire skeleton, and then we will be building on top of that with our core wool. Then we'll add some fun Christmas greens and then lots of Christmas goodies on top of that, like string lights, Santa hats, and maybe even a scarf. Alrighty, let's go over the supplies to make our cute Christmas cactus. We will be working with our CW1 core wool and also some wool batting in green. This is Maori grass. We've got a couple chenille stems here. Our wow pad, this is a 12 by 12 size right here. I have these handy needles in Righty Tools right here. They are perfect for holding single needles. 40 triangle, a 42 triangle, and then this cluster of 42 triangles is just rubber banded together. We'll also need a doll needle or a large sewing needle, a nice little pair of scissors, some silk ribbon, festive lights, and you might need a little dab of glue, a little Santa hat, and then of course the twine to string up your little cactus. Grab your chenille stems and let's get started. Your first chenille stem, you're going to want to fold it in half. Make sure you pinch the end here, and you'll begin twisting this armature and twist, just like that. Now, fold your end with your two little wires. Fold that up against itself and pinch. And we're going to do the exact same thing with our second piece of chenille stem here. Keeping your fingers here in this open V spot right here. Go ahead and twist. That's going to keep both of these pieces here nice and even. And then once you get to the end, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to hide the end of this wire right here and pinch it up against the body. Now that we have two pieces here, we've got a little bit of a cross is what we're going to start with. This part is going to be your first arm of your cactus. Now to secure this in place, we're going to get the longer end here, and we're going to just wrap it around this green chenille stem, which is going to be the body of your cactus. And it kind of depends how you want your cactus arms to be. I prefer one of mine to be a little longer and one a little shorter. We're going to give him a bend in the arm. You see, he's already looking like a cactus. And then we're going to give him another bend here. If you notice these little wires poke out, just go ahead and just wrap them around here. Secure them in place so that they're not poking out on you anymore. And there we go. We've already got our little skeleton. So let's start wrapping with core wool. If you're planning to make more than one cactus, you're going to want to divide your core wool in advance to however many cactus you would like to make. So let's get started on that. First, I like to break my core wool in half. This is just a little tuft here. And then from that, I always break it in half again. And you're going to continue to do this until you've got little strips about this big. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, it's a little wispy, but for building up your cactus, it's going to work great. And I like to start at an anchor point on the cactus, which is right here in the cross section, and hold your finger on that tail so it doesn't escape. And let's start wrapping. Keep your core wool flat and wrap it as tightly as you can around this chenille stem here. The tighter that you wrap this core wool, the less you're going to have to needle felt. We're just going to work our way down and then work our way back up again till we get to that cross section. Now, I'm going to bring in my 4D triangle with my righty tool here. Just delicately tack that cross section down here. You're pretty close to the chenille stem, so just be gentle. And just poke it just a little bit into place here. Let's bring in a little more core wool here. We're going to do the same thing. Go across and across. Make sure you hold on to that tail when you're starting. Really helps it stick to that chenille stem. Okay. And get back to your cross section here. Let's go ahead and tack it down just a little bit more. Keep an eye on where you're placing your needle so you don't accidentally poke yourself. I'm not concerned there's going to be too much shifting when I go to lay down more core wool, which is why we're going to tack this down, is just to make sure the core wool doesn't shift around as we go. Let's go ahead and start building up the arm. So I'm going to continue working with this core wool that I've allocated for this cactus here, and we're going to keep pulling off these thin little wispy strips. You're going to want a good anchor point, and you're going to want to hold that anchor point for your core wool. We're going to do the exact same thing we were doing on the body. Twisting, twisting, until we get to the end here. I like to leave a little fluff on the end. It's going to help hide the end of that chenille stem. So if you've got a little on the end, don't worry about it. We can just move back down the arm all the way back to the body. Where your core wool started and stopped, the tail ends, we're going to go ahead and just tack that down with our 4D triangle. Make sure you get both sides. We've got the beginning of our arm here. So go ahead and continue to pull thin strips of your core wool, wrap your armature, and then tack that into place with your 4D triangle. Fine needles are perfect for this project. They create shallow pokes when you're needle felting with them, which makes it less likely for you to hit the armature wire, the chenille stems, which can cause needle breakage if you hit it just right with your needles. So we're going to continue to build up the underbody of our cactus here. Once we get to a size where it's a little bigger than your thumb or a jumbo size marker, we'll go ahead and stop wrapping our core wool there. Okay. I think our cactus is ready for some color. For applying our dyed batting here, we're going to be repeating the process like we did with our core wool, which is going to be, we're going to break down our nice green here into however many cactus you're going to make, and then we're going to break them into strips, just like with the core wool. Now with the batting, I like to just, if it's kind of got a bigger section on one end than the other, just pull it apart just a little so it's just a little more even through the entire length of the piece here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same process as the core wool where we start the wrap and then hold on to the tail where it landed, and we're going to be switching to our 42 triangle needle, our fine needle for this one. So go ahead and just tack down where your tail starts. Give it a nice anchor here. And then we're just going to continue to wrap around the core wool. I like to hold my thumb flat as I wrap, and it helps that batting staying nice and even while you're wrapping it. And then also, I like to give them a little, just twist around. Helps the fibers kind of lay down a little smooth. But you can still see your tail there. So we're going to go ahead and tack down that second tail. If you've got a little white streak, like right there, you can barely see the corbel come through. Don't worry at all. You can come back in with just a tiny tuft and just patch him on there. Help give you even coverage in case you missed any spots. If you have a few 42 triangles, you can rubber band them together. And you can cover a little more ground. If you wrapped your cactus really, really tight, you might have a little resistance with a few needles put together. But you can always switch back to your single needle if it feels like it's just a little too tight. Continue to wrap your cactus with your green until it has completely covered your core wool. And make sure to needle felt each wrap. Use your 42 triangle or your cluster of 42 triangles to needle felt over your cactus to make it nice and smooth. If you're using the hat provided in the kit, you'll want to make sure that your cactus is about an inch thick at the top, so the hat will fit nice and snug. Now that our cactus is covered in green, we're going to go ahead and do the fun part and decorate. One option that is included in this year's kit is going to be a piece of Sari silk ribbon. And I love the Sari silk ribbon. It's got a little fray to the edge. It looks really, really cute. So there's a few different ways that you can, decorate your little cactus up. I like to give him a little tie here. And this piece is a little long, so if you'd like to cut it in half, you could definitely have multiple little scarves for your guy. Tuck it a few times if you've got a long tail. Look how cute that is. There are a few different ways that you can style your cactus scarf, and if you want to make sure that it stays on for a long time to come, you can give it a little single stitch right through the scarf into the body, or you can just use a little dab of glue. Some of my favorite ways to decorate this cactus beside the silk scarf is some fun festive string lights here. They're colorful, they're cute, and they really bring a lot of personality to your cactus. So one way that you can string your lights is from arm to arm. If you want to keep it a little simple, you can string it that way. Another way would be you could do a more simple wrap around the arms. Just play with it and have fun. But the way that I like to do it is I like to string it from head to toe. Whether you want to start at the top or the bottom, you're going to need to anchor your lights and to keep them in place. I'm going to go ahead and put my anchor point right here at the top first. So get a little tuft of your green wool that you used for the batting. And I'm just going to roll it a little with my fingers, put it over that string up there, and then come in with your 42 triangle and just really, really felt all around that gold string that you see. And if you can still see the string, go ahead and give it a little more wool. And this is a great way to hide your tail too, the tail of your lights. You just really want to make sure that that's going to stay in place. And we'll move on to the other anchor point. So now this will give you a little A little tension here so you can see where you need to place your lights. I think that looks good. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom of our cactus. And watch your fingers around this part. Make sure you keep track of your needle. All right. So now we have both of our points anchored here. And now it's time for the hat. And I've got that right here. So applying the hat is pretty easy. You're just going to want to go ahead and make sure it's nice and secured with your glue. Just use a little bit of glue inside the rim of the white here. Just a little bit. You want to be conscious of how much glue you're using and what type of glue that you're using, because some of it doesn't dry clear. This particular glue does. Make sure that the seam of this hat is facing the backside of your cactus. My cactus came out a little chunky. That's all right. If that happens, just snugly convince him to wear his hat. Okay. Now that we have our hat glued in place and it's nice and secure, you can leave it just like this, or you can go ahead and I like to give it a little style by folding the Santa hat over. And to do that, we'll lay your cactus down and then go ahead and with that same glue, right where that crease is that you've kind of created by folding your hat over, let's just go ahead and apply a little dab of glue right there. And then once your glue is set, we can go ahead and put the twine through that we've got for our cactus. And I like to do that while the hat is on the cactus. So it's a little easier to see where you want the string position to be. We've got our doll needle here, or your large sewing needle, whatever you've got on hand. Thread your twine onto your needle. Insert your needle on the face of the Santa hat, where you want the front to be. You're going to exit about a 1/2 inch. And I like to, about a finger's width from the white band is where I like to place my twine. And we're going to pull through. Perfect. And all that's left to do is just tie a little knot right here. If you've got a long tail, give those a little snip. Once you've got the string in, it's ready to go on the tree. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you all had fun, just as much fun as I did making these little guys. I make so many every year and they sell so quickly and we can't wait to see what you create. We'd love to see what your favorite takeaway is down below, and we'd also love to see what kind of Christmas cactuses you make. So if you're in need of more holiday inspiration, view the playlist down below, and if you need another holiday video too, check this one out right here.